Welcome back to the deep dive. Usually when we sit down to talk about urban pollution, I mean the really nasty systemic stuff.
Right, like toxic rivers and overflowing landfills.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The conversation, it always turns to massive government spending. We end up talking about billion-dollar infrastructure projects, heavy machinery.
And policy papers that take 10 years to write and then just sit on a shelf, it's the standard approach.
It is.
We tend to think that, big problems require these huge centralized bureaucracies to fix them. It's the Goliath model of problem solving.
Right. But today, we're looking at a stack of reports that suggests the Goliath model might be, well, inefficient, expensive, and frankly, just too slow. We're diving into the work of Earth5R. They're a Mumbai-based environmental organization. They're UNESCO recognized, and their data is really forcing us to rethink the economics of waste.
It's such a fascinating case study because it just flips the script. Instead of that top-down management, they focus on citizen-led action. And I know as soon as I say that, you're probably picturing, a few well-meaning people picking up candy wrappers in a park for an hour.
That was exactly my first thought. I thought, okay, that's cute, but does it actually move the needle?
Sure.
But then I looked at the efficiency stats in the briefing. They're claiming efficiencies of up to 300%.
300%.
Not compared to government-led initiatives alone. I mean, that's just a staggering number.
It is. And the reason for that efficiency is, well, that's what we're going to unpack today. This isn't just about cleaning up.
No.
It's about the circular economy. It's about taking a liability trash and turning it into an asset using really nothing but community power and some smart tech.
Okay, so we have three major case studies on the table today to prove this out. We've got a dying lake in Mumbai,
A poisoned river in Pune.
and a massive multi-year project involving plastic segregation. The mission for this deep dive is to figure out how an app, a game of football, and a group of volunteers somehow outperform the municipal government.
And how they made money doing it.
Let's start with that first case study. Powai Lake in Mumbai. If you look at the photos in the report, the context here is it's intense. This is not a lake in the middle of a forest.
Oh, far from it. Powai Lake is a crucial ecosystem, but it's effectively under siege. It's surrounded by high-density housing, corporate offices, a special economic zone.
So it's a classic example of urban infrastructure just failing to keep up.
Exactly, with population growth.
The report says the lake receives half a ton of waste daily.
Daily.
And we're not talking about, organic waste that just decomposes.
No, not at all. We're talking single-use plastics, medical waste, glass bottles, e-waste. It's a biohazard, really.
It sounds like it.
It absolutely was. So in 2018, Earth5R launched what they call the persistence model.
I want to pause on that name, the persistence model, because I think it highlights the biggest flaw in most volunteer efforts, right? Usually, people get excited for Earth Day, they go out once, take a selfie, and then they never come back.
Exactly. Volunteer fatigue is real. But Earth5R took a totally different approach. They committed to 208 consecutive Sundays.
208 Sundays, that's 4 years.
4 years, rain or shine. And it wasn't some massive army of thousands either. It was a consistent squad of about 70 volunteer students, corporate employees, local residents.
They just kept showing up.
They just kept showing up.
So what does 4 years of showing up actually achieve? Because, 70 people against half a ton of waste a day, that sounds like a losing battle.
You'd think so, wouldn't you? But the compounding effect is so powerful. Over that period, they removed 58.24 tons of waste.
58 tons. That's nearly 60,000 kilograms.
It's a huge amount.
Wow.
But here's the thing. If you just pick up trash, you're basically acting as an unpaid janitor for the city. The trash just comes back the next day.
Right?
The real victory here wasn't just the removal, it was the behavioral change. They recorded a 35% reduction in waste dumping around the lake.
Wait, so the locals actually stopped throwing stuff in?
Yes. Think about the broken windows theory. When a place looks abandoned and dirty, people treat it like a dump.
Sure.
But when you see your neighbors out there every single Sunday, cleaning it by hand, it creates this psychological barrier. It creates a sense of social shame.
You don't want to be the guy throwing a plastic bag into the lake while 70 people are watching you clean it.
Exactly. They changed the culture.
But you mentioned earlier that this is about the circular economy. I feel like that's a buzzword we hear a lot in corporate sustainability reports, but what does it actually mean, on the ground, in the mud?
Yeah, that's a fair question. So in a linear economy, we take a resource, make something, use it, and throw it in a hole. A circular economy tries to close that loop, so the waste becomes input for something else.
Okay.
And Earth5R didn't just use volunteers, they partnered with local rag pickers.
And rag pickers are the informal waste workers, right?
Correct. These are often very marginalized populations who scavenge through mixed waste to find recyclables. It's dangerous. It's dirty work.
I can't even imagine.
But Earth5R integrated them into the program. The volunteers would collect and segregate the waste, separating metals, glass, high-value plastics.
So instead of digging through, rotting food, the rag pickers get pre-sorted, clean inventory.
Precisely. And because it was sorted, it had immediate market value. The report notes that the waste collected was worth about 2.91 lakhs.
That's roughly 291,000 Indian rupees.
Yep. And that money went directly to the rag pickers.
So they literally turned pollution into a paycheck.
And, at the same time, saved the municipality a fortune. By diverting all that waste from the landfill, Earth5R estimates they saved the local government about 40.76 lakhs in processing and transport costs.
That's the 300% efficiency we talked about.
There it is.
The government didn't have to pay for the cleanup, the landfill didn't fill up as fast, and the local economy got a boost.
And we haven't even gotten to the carbon footprint.
Right, the carbon offset. I see this term everywhere. We offset our flight, we offset our shipping. How does picking up trash offset carbon?
Well, when plastic sits in a landfill or a lake, it degrades and releases methane. Or worse, it gets burned, releasing CO2. So by recycling those 58 tons of waste, they prevented the emissions associated with producing new plastic and the emissions from disposal. They calculated a carbon offset of 78.04 tons of CO2.
Putting that in human terms, what is 78 tons of CO2? What does that even mean?
It's roughly equivalent to the emissions from burning 33,000 liters of diesel fuel.
Wow.
Just by cleaning a lake on Sundays, they prevented that much pollution from entering the atmosphere.
That really puts the whole David and Goliath thing into perspective. A small group can actually have a measurable atmospheric impact.
Huge one.
But I want to move to the second case study because the stakes there feel even higher. Let's talk about the Mulamuthu River in Pune.
This is a critical one. Powai Lake is an ecosystem, but the Mulamuthu River, that's a lifeline. It is the drinking water source for 3 million people.
And yet the data here is just terrifying. It says the river was 80% untreated sewage and 60% plastic waste. If I'm living in Pune, I am looking at that water and I am panicking.
You should be. The health impact was immediate. Communities along the bank saw a 40% increase in waterborne diseases. The ecosystem was collapsing. Native fish populations dropped by 70%. Because of heavy metals like lead and mercury leaching from all the e-waste dumped in the river.
So Earth5R steps in with a 6-year program.
Yeah.
But they changed the tactic here. They didn't just rely on that persistence model. They brought in football.
It sounds a bit trivial, doesn't it, fighting a toxic crisis with sports?
It sounds like a distraction, honestly.
But it was actually a brilliant solution to the burnout problem. Cleaning a riverbank that's full of sewage and sludge is miserable, exhausting work. You can't ask people to do that for 6 years on sheer willpower.
No way.
So they gamified it. They took inspiration from tribal communities and their connection to the land. They realized they needed to build a culture, not just a work crew.
Okay, so how did it work?
After every cleanup, the volunteers played football on the cleared banks.
So the reward for the hard labor was the game.
And the community. It completely shifted the mental framing from labor to leisure. You build an emotional connection to that patch of ground.
Right.
If that's your football pitch, you are going to be very protective of it. You're not going to let someone dump a bag of glass on the penalty spot.
It creates ownership. And looking at the results, this football model, it seems to have worked even better than the persistence model.
Oh, the numbers are double. Over 6 years, they removed 112.32 tons of waste. That represents nearly 25,000 volunteer hours.
And I assume the financial model, the rag pickers, and the recycling, it applied here too.
It did, and it actually scaled up. Because rivers often accumulate heavier debris, we're talking scrap metal, old electronics, the recycling value was higher. They generated about 5.61 lakhs.
They turned a public health hazard into a revenue stream.
It really closes the loop on that circular economy concept, doesn't it? You have environmental health, public health, fewer diseases, and economic health for the waste workers.
That's the holy grail of sustainability. It's not charity. It's a system that benefits everyone involved.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've seen the physical interventions. We've got the lake and the river. But Earth5R bills itself as a tech-driven organization. And honestly, up until now, this sounds very analog.
Yeah.
It's gloves, bags, and soccer balls. Where does the tech come in?
This brings us to the macro project. This is the 8-year plastic segregation program. And this is where we move from localized cleanup to systemic change.
Right.
It involved 10,000 citizens annually.
And the goal here wasn't to clean up a mess, but to stop it from even happening.
Exactly. The most efficient way to clean a river is to never let the plastic get there in the first place. They train citizens to segregate waste at home, separating roughly 0.5 kilogram of waste per day per person.
0.5 kilo. That sounds negligible. I probably generate that before breakfast.
It feels small. But this is the power of the macro view. When you have 10,000 people doing that every single day for 8 years, the numbers just explode. They diverted 14,400 tons of waste.
14,000 tons. I can't even visualize that volume. That's a mountain.
It is. And because this waste was segregated at the source, meaning it was clean, dry, and sorted by type, it is gold in the recycling market.
And that means it's valuable.
Very. It generated 14.4 crores.
Wait, hold on. Did you say 14.4 crores? That's 144 million rupees.
Yes.
Just from people sorting their trash in their kitchens.
That is the value of the material we are burying in the ground every single day. We usually say trash, but we should be saying unsorted cash.
Trash is unsorted cash. That is a powerful reframe. But here's where the skeptic in me wakes up again.
Okay.
Environmental claims are notorious for greenwashing. Companies love to say they're sustainable, but how do we know these 10,000 people actually recycled 14,000 tons?
That is the crucial question, and that is where the Earth5R app comes in. In the modern corporate world, companies are under immense pressure to meet ESG goals.
Environmental, social, and governance targets.
Exactly. But they need proof. They can't just put a leaf logo on their website and call it a day. They need data for the auditors.
Right.
So Earth5R uses their app to facilitate evidence-driven work. Every time a volunteer or a citizen segregates waste, the activity is geotagged and verified through the app.
So it creates a digital paper trail.
A digital proof of work. And this allows corporations to partner with these programs and track their impact in real time. They can see exactly where the plastic was collected, when, how much carbon was offset.
It moves the industry from, as you said, greenwashing to actual supply chain repair.
It does.
So Earth5R acts as the bridge. They take the labor of the citizens, they verify it with the app, and then they sell that data, or rather the credit for that impact, to the corporations who need it.
Precisely. And that funding flows back into the program, which keeps the whole cycle running. And just look at the human effort involved here, 1.92 million volunteer hours.
Nearly 2 million hours. That's a movement. But I want to dig into the psychology of that. Why do people keep doing it? We talked about the football, but surely an app isn't enough to make 10,000 people sort their trash every day for 8 years.
No, you're right. There's some really interesting behavioral science at play here. The data shows that consistent participation in sustainability projects increases the likelihood of long-term behavioral change by 65%.
So if I use the app and I sort my trash for a few months, I'm 65% more likely to keep doing it forever.
Yes. And it bleeds into other areas of your life. If you engage habitually for over 12 months, your other sustainable behaviors like, carrying reusable bags or refusing single-use straws increase by 45%.
It actually rewires your brain.
It's experiential learning. You can drive past a billboard that says recycle and ignore it. But once you've physically separated 100 kilos of your own plastic and tracked it on an app, you see the product life cycle completely differently.
You can't unsee the waste.
You can't.
So looking forward, Earth5R seems to have a working model. They've got the persistence, the culture, and the tech. What's the next step for them?
Well, the ambition is massive. Their goal is to engage 2 billion people by 2030.
2 billion. That's a quarter of the human race.
It is incredibly bold. But the roadmap is to scale the Poway Lake model to 100 cities. If they do that, they could offset 7,800 tons of CO2 annually.
Wow.
And they're looking to integrate even more advanced tech, specifically AI and blockchain.
Okay, I have to ask, why does garbage collection need blockchain? That just sounds like buzzword soup.
It sounds like it, I know, but it addresses a really specific problem: trust. The recycling supply chain is notoriously corrupt. You have issues with double counting.
Where the same bale of plastic is counted for credits twice.
Right, or just illegal dumping. So the blockchain acts as a permanent, unchangeable ledger. It ensures traceability.
I see.
If a company buys a carbon credit for a specific ton of recycled plastic, the blockchain ensures that that plastic was actually recycled and wasn't just, moved to a different warehouse.
It brings the highest level of technological trust to the grimiest industry on Earth. It creates transparency in a very opaque system.
And that transparency is what unlocks the big corporate funding. Companies will pay for results if they know the results are real.
So as we wrap this up, I'm thinking about the big picture here. We started with a local lake, and we've ended with global blockchain ledgers. But the core lesson, it seems to be about value.
The lesson is that we're viewing waste completely incorrectly. We see it as a burden, something we pay taxes to get rid of. Earth5R proves it's a resource, it's wealth, but only if it's sorted.
And that efficiency stat, 300% more efficient than government initiatives, that really sticks with me. It proves that we don't need to wait for some top-down rescue plan.
No, the resources are literally lying on the ground. The labor force is ready. We have citizens who want to help and waste workers who need better incomes. The only missing piece was the system to organize them.
Trash is unsorted cash. I think I'm going to print that out and put it on my fridge.
And carbon credits waiting to be claimed.
Exactly. So for our listener, here is the final thought we want to leave you with. We've heard about a group of volunteers playing football on Sundays who managed to clean a toxic river and generate massive wealth from it.
It really makes you wonder about your own neighborhood, doesn't it?
It does. What resources are currently rotting in your local landfill right now? What is sitting there polluting your groundwater that could actually be powering your local economy if someone just decided to pick it up and sort it?
And who is going to organize the football game to get it started?
It might have to be you.
Huh?
Thanks for listening to this deep dive.